So our next guest, she's the Division Manager of Business Services at the City of Lakewood. She has a Master's in Computer and Information Science from the University of Denver, and in the past life was the Secondary Science Educator at Aurora Middle and High Schools. Welcome.
I'm shocked you discovered all that. You went to LinkedIn, didn't you? So I wanted to talk a little bit about collaboration. Our current political climate makes it so critical for us to really serve the public. We see that the public has a higher level of scrutiny for us, and that they really have very little tolerance for waste. And we get a lot of conflicting messages. In the city, you get citizens saying conflicting things. We have vendors saying their solution is the perfect one. And so it's daunting trying to figure out what's the right approach, what do we do, because as you've all heard, we want to do it right the first time, and it's enough to keep you up at night and give you headaches. So I know for me, when I get overwhelmed, that it helps me to step back and say, okay, what are we doing well, and then where are the gaps? And so I'm going to speak about a little bit about Lakewood and what I feel like are some of our strengths and then where our gaps are. I would say one of the things that we do pretty well is that we communicate with our businesses, our business units. We have quarterly, annual, bi-monthly meetings where we try to align with their business strategies and their goals. We standardize, as I'm sure many of you do, on hardware platforms, software development standards, standardized configuration, best practices for how you install databases. Where we struggle, as probably most of you guys do too, is when you're going on a path and the priorities change. You get a mandated change from the government, you get a change in leadership, and they want different things, so you have to learn how to shift gears. And so I would say that groups like this, collaboration, makes it so very critical for all of us. I'm a novice at this, so here we go. So I would say thank you to the brave people who shared. I know at some of our Seagate conferences, people have shared about failures as well as successes. And one of my favorite quotes here is, good judgment comes from experience, and experience often comes from, I messed it up, bad judgment. And so thank you for those who tell us what they fail at. It helps. And the other thing is, a lot of us have the experience of hearing different approaches to the same problem, because we all know what works in Denver may not necessarily work in Lakewood, may not necessarily work in Littleton, and so it helps to hear everyone's viewpoint and how they're approaching it. Some examples, I would say, of successful collaborations. I know when Lakewood was putting their transparency project together, we talked to Fort Collins, we talked to Jefferson County. Seagate is one. I would say City Camp is one. Great examples of times that we've come together and helped each other. So how do we build on those successes? How do we keep the momentum going? Again, I would say, let's step back and say, what are we doing really well? And so here's my pie in the sky. What I would love to see happen is that I would love for us to really take the time to, as we are talking here today, communicate. What are our needs? What are the big things that we're all working on? And couldn't we share some of those strategies? Couldn't we work together? I would love the idea of having task groups to tackle some of the big issues. I know that we recently had a big thing on mobile devices. We're all struggling with how do we keep those, how do we bring those into our networks and secure them? And let's build bridges to our citizens so that we can make sure that we're working together to provide what they need. And then standards, you know, I would love to see us really address. Here in Colorado, we think these are some of the best standards for security, for how we're going to approach contracts. So I would say another one of my favorite quotes, this is a Frenchman from the 1400s, The only thing that's constant is change, and that is true, and I think that that is why collaboration is so very critical to help us keep up with this changing environment. Thank you.